Welcome back to the Cozy Cottage Homestead. Everyone's been waiting to see this video on how to make dandelion jelly. Okay, so let's don't waste any time. Let's get right to it. Collect your dandelions, just the blooms, the top part of the flower. Get about 4 cups of them. Put them in a mason jar, dump boiling hot water on them, and seal them. I'll leave mine sit down on the counter overnight, then the next morning I make the jelly from the tea that the dandelion makes overnight. If you're not comfortable with leaving your dandelion tea out on the counter, put it in the refrigerator. It's going to do the same thing. Alright, someone had asked me, why does their dandelion tea, well, look like tea? It kind of looks like dirty water, but I guess the lemon juice brings it to a brighter color, and then when you put the food coloring in there, it's going to brighten it up and give it that golden look. So we have 4 cups of the tea. If your dandelion tea in your mason jar does not make 4 cups, it is very potent, it's strong, it's a tea, just like any other tea. Add a little water to it to equal your 4 cups. I'm not going to be able to zoom in, my husband's out doing something else, so we're just going to have to do it like this, and you can just see the steps and still get the same idea. But this is a dandelion tea. This is 4 cups. It has been extremely busy, so I've been wanting to do this video for a little while now, but it being kidding season, it definitely is busy around here. I have my recipe. I typed it up for a few people on one of the Homesteader sites. I haven't even had time to write it down yet. I just done it off the top of my head. So please forgive me. I will be looking at my notes. So the first thing you're going to do is measure it out to equal 4 cups. Put 4 cups of the dandelion tea, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and 1 box of Pectin. Slowly add the Pectin. Just dump the lemon juice in. And you want to kind of stir it while you dump the Pectin in. Alright, after you dump the Pectin in, you want to bring it slowly to a boil for about 1 minute. Now that's when it becomes a rolling boil. Not boiling out the pot, but a good boil. Most of you, this isn't your first time making jelly. It's the same process of making any other kind of jelly. Just simply that you have the dandelion tea. Just like if you were making grape jelly, you would use the juice from the grapes. And I would say, if you have everything ready and prepared and setting out, I already have my jars in the oven. That's the way I sanitize them. I used to do it the old school way and put it in the sink with boiling hot water. But we've tried it in the oven. It seems to work really good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my oven on. I already have my jars that have been washed and put in the oven. I'm going to turn it on for, hang on 1 second, let me read you this. I'm going to turn it on my bake setting for 250. It's just going to heat the jars and sanitize the jars. A slow heat. You don't want to just bake the jars, but you want to heat them and it will sterilize your jars. Alright, this is going to come to a boil. You want to make sure the pectin is all mixed in. So you want to stir it so that it's not stuck on the bottom of your pot. I have my water bath going. It's going to be hot. The jelly in the jars is going to be hot. And the ball recipe does not recommend boiling your lids. I disagree. I guess I'm just that old-fashioned. I still put them in a small pot and let them simmer. And if I see them start to try to come to a boil, I'll just go ahead and cut those off so that I know they are good and sterile as well. This will take a couple minutes to bring it up to a boil. Go ahead and get this turned up a little bit now that it's warmed up and mixed up. And also the dandelion jelly, you can do the same thing with clover, the tops, just the top parts, the flower part of the clover. Honeysuckle, there's lots of things you can do with it. I'm going to be making a video on dandelion tincture. It is the Love Your Liver weed. It is a medicinal value that the dandelion has. It's very healthy for other health conditions. What is a tincture? A tincture is natural medicine. It's what people used to take before we had prescription medicine. So you have to check with your doctor and do all your research, but you can pretty much make a tincture with just about anything. Natural, vegetables, herbs, weeds. Just have to do your research to make sure what's safe and what's not safe. Right, this is about to come to a boil. I will set my timer for 1 minute and bring it to a good rolling boil. The next step, after I bring it to a boil, I will add the 4 cups of sugar. Seems like a lot of sugar, but that's what it takes. 4 cups of the dandelion tea, 4 cups of sugar. And then I will add the pat of butter in a second. What's a pat of butter? I don't know what a pat of butter is. This is just an old-fashioned saying. You just add a pat of butter, and it's supposed to help with the foaming so that your jelly doesn't foam. If your jelly still does foam, you just take a spoon and kind of ladle it off the top so that your jelly doesn't have that little foamy cover on the top of it. And if it does, it's not going to hurt anything. It's still jelly too, but some people like it to look prettier. It doesn't bother me either way. Usually I don't have a lot of foam, and maybe that's because I don't boil the heck out of my jelly. I bring it to a boil in a slow rolling boil and just slowly bring it up to temperature. Go ahead and turn the burner off on my lids. I see them kind of bubble a little bit. My oven's telling me that it's up to temperature. Give this 1 minute now that it's actually coming to a boil. And I'll slowly add everything to my pot. There's no need in just dumping it in there. Sometimes it makes it stick to the bottom. Alright, we're good on that. So now we're going to go ahead and add the sugar. Slowly add the sugar. Now you don't want to leave your pot. You want to keep stirring it the whole time. And I usually wait a few minutes until the sugar is dissolved a little bit. And then I add that pat of butter. Got this almost coming to a boil. I got my lids out and my little magnet getter. Still got to put the yellow food coloring in. I got my bands right here. I'm going to set my pot right here and ladle it into the hot jars in just a second. Usually makes about 7 jelly jars. So we'll see if that holds true today. Okay, we got our rolling boil. I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. And keep stirring it the whole time. A lot of stuff I don't really do by recipes. I know what it is, so it's been a challenge to write down recipes and share it with y'all so that I can share it with y'all, because a lot of stuff I'm just so used to doing it. I just have a knack for it. It really just self-learned. So I have to remember to write stuff down and actually tell you what steps I'm going through, because I don't always remember to tell y'all. So I'm trying my best to remember to tell y'all what to do so that y'all can make some beautiful dandelion jelly with your family. Also makes a wonderful birthday gift, Christmas gift, whichever. Lots of people haven't tried it. It is something new to most people. It's very good. Some people say, well, what does it taste like? If you've ever had pure clover honey, it kind of reminds me of that, with a little bit of a freshness taste, if that makes sense, except in jelly form. It's just really good. I do know that much. Probably doesn't have as many of the medicinal values as if it was in a tincture. It probably has a tad bit of good nutrition in it, even though it's a jelly. And plus, the thing with jelly is you usually don't use but a teaspoon or so if you put it on a biscuit, or maybe a little more than that on a piece of toast. So, alright, there goes our timer. We're going to cut that thing off so it don't keep talking to us. I don't see very much foam at all on here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner off, let it set just for a second till it quits bubbling or boiling. I'm such a country girl, y'all. If y'all looking for primping proper, sorry, you're probably not going to find it here. I know what I'm doing and what I'm talking about and how to make stuff work, but not much on all them big fancy words. Alright, let's pull up my recipe again. Pretty much now we're just going to ladle it into our hot jars. Will be ready to go. And then you're going to put it in boiling. Of course, that was hot. You're going to put it in a water bath canner. For my area, it says 5 minutes. I usually go a little more. I usually just do 10 minutes just to be sure that it's done and I don't have any problems. So let me check on my water. I think it's probably not boiling yet, but I'll cut the video off on that part because it's going to take a few minutes to get it up to temperature. But I'll go ahead and jar up some of these just so y'all can see how it looks. And before I jar it up, I got to put the yellow food coloring in there. And these are very, very, very hot, so y'all wear your muffins or your pot holders, whatever, your mittens, whatever you want to call them, oven mittens. I don't do well with oven mittens. It bothers my hands. I do better just to grab it. So get you your funnel. I have a ladle. It gets kind of messy and it's hot. The biggest thing is remembering to not grab the jar. And I think I said 6 drops of food coloring. So let's go ahead and put that in there. See what that looks like. Again, if I think it needs a little more color, I'll add a little more to it, but we'll see what it looks like. I think that's going to be beautiful. So we're not going to worry about adding no more to it. It's going to be a beautiful honey color, golden looking. Just give it a stir. And I don't see any foam in here whatsoever, which is wonderful. I'll go ahead and fill up our jars and try not to overfill them. I'm going to show you real quick. I fill it up to the bottom. When I see the jelly about to touch the end of it right here, that's how full I fill them. Some people do 1/4 of an inch from the top. You just do it however you feel comfortable, but do leave some headspace. I will get all of these done because I'm doing it by myself. And then before I put my bands on, I have some regular vinegar right here. Wipe off the tops of the lids with the paper towel and dip it in vinegar just to make sure there's no sugar or liquid or anything on there. And I'll show you that little process in just 1 second. more in this one. I think we can go ahead and cut my phone off now. I'm not really looking at it anyway. Go ahead and move it to this jar to the side. Grab us another jar. Everything is good and hot. If you get a little bit too much in there, I like to use a measuring spoon. I have it right here. I'll just stick it in there a little bit and then dump it back in the pot if I get too much. Then if I have a little left over, just a couple little drops at the end, I'll go back and add a little tad bit to everybody's jar. Just to top it off and not to waste anything. And if you don't have enough to fill 6 or 7 jars, whatever you do have left, put that in a little bowl and put it in your fridge, and you already got jelly ready to be eaten. So it's pretty easy cleaning out the pot around here because see a little bit of jelly left in there. I'm not going to rinse that down the drain. Somebody's going to get that on a piece of bread. It's also delicious on pancakes. Really just about anything. Pancakes, biscuits, toast. Add a little bit of it to your oatmeal, to your cream of wheat. Oh, it's really good. We don't eat a lot of jelly. I'm just making it to share with everybody. I already made my batch, but there's a few people that want to try it, so I've gifted a few people a couple of jars, or I've gifted out a couple of jars, I should say. I didn't give them a couple of jars, just gifted out some so they could try it. I don't make enough to sell or nothing like that. I just share with family and close friends. Jelly is a really good canning thing for beginners. It's not a lot of steps. There's a few steps, and if you're organized, it makes it go better. So it's pretty easy for beginners to start with jelly. We do can vegetables and meat and chilies and stews and salsa and tomatoes, you name it. We pretty much, if we can can it, we can it. Now the one thing we haven't tried yet was canning our goat milk. This year we're planning on trying to can some of it to see how well it turns out and if we like it that way or not. And even if we don't like it, because it's supposed to taste a little different, we'll still probably can a bunch up to cook with, not necessarily to drink with, because sometimes when you can milk, from what I've been told, it has a little bit of an off flavor. But some people think other stuff has an off flavor, like your chicken or your beef. We absolutely love it. It's a little bit different, but it's not that much of a difference. So we're hoping the milk is going to be something that we can. We do freeze it and use it up pretty fast whenever we have it coming in. We make a lot of the cheeses, make some pudding, make yogurt. Everybody keeps saying, well, what do you do with goat milk? Whatever you do with cow's milk, you can do with goat milk. And actually, goat milk is healthier for you than cow milk. We're not big milk drinkers, but we do love cheese and ice cream and pudding, and we cook with milk. I don't think people realize how much we cook with milk. And whenever I don't have goat milk, my frugal tip is I use powdered milk. So now I'm just going back and adding a little bit to each one of these jars. That might not have been quite as full as the other one, because I do have a tad bit left in here. So I'm just going back and adding a little bit to the ones that were low. came out absolutely perfect. 7 jelly jars. I know there's lots of other recipes and stuff out there on the internet. I tend to do research on all the things that I make and do, and then I adjust the recipe, and then I try it. And if I like it, then I go ahead and write that recipe down, because I don't always follow their recipe. I usually do my own thing, and I guess I've been extremely blessed. Most everything I've ever done has turned out really, really good. All of my jars usually seal. I'm not going to say 100% because sometimes they just don't seal for whatever reason. Most of the time, though, I've had pretty good success with everything sealing. So, alright, and there's just a tad bit in here that I cannot get out. It will get eaten. It will get cleaned out. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of my way. I have a very small kitchen, so I have to move stuff around. As y'all can see, that's going really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down. Now I'm going to wipe off the tops of my jars. Move some of this stuff out my way. Alright, so I just got a clean paper towel. I'm going to dip it in vinegar. I do need one of those pot holders though. So these jars are extremely hot. Wipe off the tops, just the tops. It doesn't have to be drenched, just damp. Wipe off the tops. I can do this. I'm going to go ahead and jar and put the lid on each one as I do it, so I don't forget which ones I've done. Put your pan on finger tight. You don't want to crank down on it. You just want to tighten it. I usually tighten it and then crank it back a little bit. So tighten it and then loosen it just a tad bit. I might have to just step over there and wipe off the tops. Sometimes even with the funnel we splash a little bit, and just want to make sure, and my thinking is on it, that it helps to clean anything that would be on it from just the air. You don't even realize just the dust and the pollens in the air. You may drop something on it, and you just want to make sure that everything is clean. Then your jelly will seal for years and years and years and years. I can't even tell you how long, because I've had jelly that I've opened up after 6 years probably, or better. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. And these are probably cool enough now that I can touch them, but again, you want to minimize touching the stuff as much as possible with your hands, because we do have oil and stuff on our skin, and that could cause your jars not to set. That could be one of your troubleshoots. Just telling y'all from my experience what's worked for me and what I think has been a problem or not been a problem. You're going to work as fast as you can with anything that you preserve, and that's why they call it canning, and canning is a process. If you are organized, you will have great success. Right, that's all of that. Move this out the way. Go ahead and put the rest of the bands on. See if I can do this without making a mess. And be careful when you move them around so that you don't make the jelly slosh around and get on your jars. Reach over here and do that, then pick it up and move it. And then I will place these into the canner that is already getting hot. And some of these have a little bit of jelly came out, got a couple little sticks here and there, or just from the heat from it. Made it stick just a little bit. Okay, we got one more jar. And I will place these in the canner. I will water bath them for 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll be right back whenever we get that part finished. I have all the jelly jars in the canner. I will bring it back to a rolling boil and then turn the temperature down to a steady boil. I will let it go for 10 minutes. Then I will take the jars out and show you the next step. Okay, the timer is about to go off, and I'm going to get the jelly out. Alright, let's go ahead and get our jelly out. Get your canning tongs. Everything's very hot. You want to slowly bring it up out of the water. They tell you don't tilt it over so to get the water off the top. I sometimes still do. Just a habit to let the water dry off naturally, but I just go for it. The jelly is still going to appear to be pretty soft. The processing process is still going on after you get it out of the water bath. Set it on a towel, right side up. This is not the inversion method. There's only a few jellies that I know of that do really good using that method. It's not the Dandelion Jelly. And that lovely sound. Did y'all hear that? That means the jar has already sealed. That's wonderful. Beautiful golden color. I'll try to hold one of them up in the light so y'all can see it. Hopefully y'all can see. Whoops, sorry about that. Hopefully y'all can see it on the camera in the light from the window. Beautiful golden color. 7 jelly jars. Now all you will do is cover them up. Leave them in a spot where it's not very drafty or cold in your house. I'll cover them back up with another kitchen towel. I'll let them sit here for 24 hours. Then I will take the bands off and check the lids to make sure that they sealed. And if they sealed, then I'll write the date on them and write what it is in there. And you're good to go. That's all there is to it. Making jelly is very easy, very delicious, and not much to it. Some people get a little intimidated. I think it helps if you watch a video and they show you how to do it. It's not that hard. Now pressure canning, that's a whole nother monster. It's a little more intimidating, but it's doable. You get more comfortable with it the more you do it, the more you practice, and you'll become more comfortable with it, and then you'll be able to can your food and store your food in jars so that they will be shelf stable, which is the goal, because we have no guarantees how long we will have electricity and how crazy the world is getting if you can even find stuff to eat and food to feed your family. So farewell, my homestead family, friends, and neighbors from the Cozy Cottage Homestead.